Welcome back, guys. So another one bites the dust. Another website known for ROMs stops allowing downloads on their website. So just like MU Paradise, Love ROMs, and how many others, we have another website that has bowed out of the game, and that is the ISO Zone. This site I'm fairly familiar with. I've seen them around. I might have even visited them a few times. I remember MU Paradise is the one that I went to most often, but the ISO Zone was one that I've been aware of for a long time. And as of today, August 15th, none of their download links will work. If you try to go to a link on their website, you're simply going to get a little image saying we are no longer offering download links. Thank you, Mario. A little thank you Mario picture, but our princess in another castle. And then underneath that, it just tells you, thanks to everyone who helped make this site. And then there's another thing down there I'm not going to show because they do link to somewhere else to go. But they have left the, the field of offering downloads. They've been around for a long time. They are another one of these sites that are very, very community driven. And they are going to stick around. Similar to, how MU Paradise is saying, hey, we're going to change it up. The ISO Zone, I believe they're going to possibly change it up as well. So I do have some thoughts concerning this, and this is kind of what I wanted this video to be about. Talking about ROMs and downloads and my thoughts and feelings on this. But before we get into all that, there is a statement from the owner of the ISO Zone. I don't know exactly what his name is, but he does have a little statement here. So he says, I've decided to step down from the ISO Zone. I first started the site when I was around 19 years old, back in the DC ISO Zone days, which I recall that. I would never have thought it would still be going until I was in my 30s. It's been a privilege watching the community start off with just a handful of us and grow to where it is now. Which is why I couldn't just let this aging old site stagnate and put such a good thing to an end. A completely new version has been created and handed to the guys who have been passionately moderating this community for years. Well, one thing you guys always said was that if the site were to go, you would always want the community to stick around. Though it's a little different now, as there will be a community over there, I will stick to my word and create something. So I don't exactly understand everything that was said there, but looks like the community aspects are going to stay. I'm not exactly sure the other part of it, what he means as far as community over there, but that is his statement. And like I said, this is not the first one. I haven't seen anything particular, even with this website and MU Paradise, that have stated anything specific as far as, receiving any kind of legal action or threats or anything like that. MU Paradise, about a year ago, they did receive a cease and desist from Nintendo, and they did remove Nintendo first-party ROMs from their website. So I don't think ISO Zone has gotten any kind of notification. I think it's just a similar thing as MU Paradise, where it's like, whoa, there's some crazy legal action going on right now from Nintendo. We just want to bow out. So I don't necessarily think this is an action from Nintendo, more of a reaction to the actions Nintendo has taken recently. And it's a crazy world with these ROM websites. Emulation is not inherently illegal. Emulators are not illegal, but distributing ROMs and stuff like that you don't own, surely there's an issue with that. And any company has every right to protect their intellectual properties. I don't think most of us can argue that. It's the law. But where the problem comes in is that we just don't have access to a lot of this stuff. We've bought in these games over the years multiple times, and I have kind of a weird, maybe different perspective on some of that, because I have no issue whatsoever if you want to download ROMs, play games that you never owned, or do any of that. I don't really care. I'm not, a hypocrite with those kind of things. But, there could be an argument to say, you know what, you don't have any right to emulate these games. You don't have any right, so why is everybody so up in arms? I've heard it so many times. And I definitely can see that side of the story, that side of the argument anyway. That, yeah, you know, if you owned it on the NES, doesn't mean you have the right to play it on every system Nintendo has made after that. You know, if you owned it on the GameCube, doesn't mean you have, you know, right to play that game on every system Nintendo makes after that. You purchased it for that platform, and that's the platform you are entitled to play it on. If you no longer own that copy, you no longer own that system, then you no longer have any right to play that game until you decide to rebuy it, or if they do revisit it and re-release it on another system, then there you go. And I definitely can see and understand that point of view, because I kind of agree with it in a sense. It makes sense to me. It's not like outlandish to think, well, I bought this on the PlayStation 2. How come I can't play this on the PlayStation 4? You know, these are not, you know, it's not the PC platform where you would expect your games to continually, you know, be able to be played, even though there's been issues with that as well with operating systems and whatnot. But, you know, that's a whole other story. You know, there's compatibility mode, things like that. So not really jumping into that. But, you know, yeah, when you bought a game for the PC, you have every right to play that game, you know, typically across whatever platforms as far as multiple PCs, depending upon the licensing agreement, stuff like that. So it's still kind of a weird argument because, yeah, you could be licensed to play a game you bought on PC on one particular PC and never play it again on any other PC, you know, but I'm not sure if that's still the world we live in, you know, with the age of Steam and being able to have a Steam library and transfer that, you know, from PC to PC. I've done that multiple times, not an issue. But where the problem is with ROMs and emulation is definitely the access. A lot of people don't want to hold on to their old systems, and I don't see an issue with that. A lot of people don't care about the old games. They just want to continue moving forward. If something's re-released, Mega Man Collection, stuff like that, and it's a game they loved back in the day, hey, they'll revisit it then, but they don't really care about the old stuff. A lot of us do, and a lot of us want access one way or another. Some people, no matter how you spell it, no matter how you spin it, they don't care. They just want to download ROMs and emulate. Personally, I don't really care. You know, a lot of us have spoken about, you know, the preservation of the history of gaming, and I think that's an important part of emulation and ROMs for sure. A lot of people use that as a cop-out, and I definitely can see that. Like, oh, you know, this is preserving history. I have every right to download this and play this. And, you know, that's kind of the gray area of thinking there. You know, I've bought in games multiple times for sure. Like currently, right now, Samurai Showdown 4 as an example, I own like 4 versions of the game, the same exact game. It's not really versions. I own 4 legitimate copies of the game across 4 different platforms. So some of us are nuts like that and we'll just, you know, rebuy games and stuff like that. I did it for a specific reason, but sometimes that happens, and not every company gives us the opportunity to revisit those games. And, you know, a lot of this media, you know, old cartridges and stuff like that, depending upon who's owned it, how it's been taken care of, you know, at some point they could stop working. And people just want to have access to these games. So it is what it is on that part of it. But definitely, just like dominoes, these websites are falling one right after the other. And it's just the world we live in today. People are in fear. You know, the thing with Facebook and Kodi and these emulation sites going down. Bethesda with the, you can't sell our game as new, you have to sell it as pre-owned. It's just, there's a lot of strange things going on. I don't necessarily think it's strange that Nintendo wants to protect their IP. I don't think any company who wants to protect their IP is strange. I don't think that's strange, but it's just everything kind of happening at once and whatnot. Nintendo, you know, what are they doing coming up? You know, they're not doing a virtual console, they're doing their online service with access to a limited number of games, and that's fine and dandy, I guess, in some respect. But like I've stated before, one thing I would be happy with, especially with Nintendo anyway, would be some form of virtual console, but reasonable, not charging $10-15 for every single game from NES to Super Nintendo. That just doesn't, that's too much. But if you were given access at a reasonable price. I've said this before. I think the Super Nintendo NES Classics are cool little systems, and I own them. I have no issue with those. But I think it would have been really neat to have a Virtual Console Super Nintendo Classic Edition, a Virtual Console NES Classic Edition, where they were the same thing, but they had a built-in drive, certain amount of memory, not necessarily a hard drive, but some kind of form of memory, flash memory, something, right? Some kind of memory to be able to download games to. And if they offered a Virtual Console on those respective Classic Edition consoles where you could download games for a reasonable price, I think would have been really awesome. Not the $8, $10, $20 price point, but something reasonable, $1 or $2. Let people rebuild their collections and have access to these games. I definitely think that would have been sweet. So that's my 2 cents. That's my little rant for the day. The ISO zone, a lot of people are going to miss it, but the community will stay. So really curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Share down below. I read all the comments. Really do appreciate you guys stopping in. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Do all that sweet stuff. It means the world to me. And I will catch y'all next time. Peace out. Bye-bye. And boom.